Hey guys, good morning. I look crazy. I hope that a lot of you were able to get on yesterday. I saw some journals done. I saw some comments on the YouTube. I appreciate you. Keep going strong. We only got a couple more days left. Today you're going to just open right up your notes from yesterday, day 15, and you're going to open the text, right? We are starting off on page 117. All we're going to do is read 117, 18, 19, 20, 21, 5 pages, and we're going to answer 2 questions, and that's it. All right, so hopefully it's not too much work on your end. All right, 117. So they were doing somersaults, jumping off their steps, and going to the rumble. I feel like I'm in class early in the morning, drinking my coffee to get through. Here we go. Hey, 2-Bit, I said, deciding to complete my survey. How come you like to fight? He looked at me as if I was off my nut. Shoot, everybody fights. If everybody jumped in the Arkansas River, old 2-Bit would be right there on their heels. I had it then. Soda fought for fun, Steve for hatred, Derry for pride, and 2-Bit for conformity. Why do I fight? I thought, and I couldn't think of any real good reason. There isn't a good reason except for self-defense. Listen, Soda, you and Ponyboy, Derry said as we strode down the street, if the fuzz show, you gotta beat it out of there. The rest of us can only get jailed. You two can get sent to a boys' home. Nobody in this neighborhood's gonna call the fuzz, Steve said grimly. They know what would happen if they did. All the same, you two blow at the first sign of trouble, you hear me? You sure don't need an amplifier, Soda said, and he stuck out his tongue at the back of Derry's head. I stifled a giggle. I thought, if you want to see something funny, it's a tough hood sticking his tongue out at his big brother. Alright, so now they're gonna get there. Tim Shepard and company were already waiting when we arrived at the vacant lot, along with a gang from Brumley, one of the other suburbs. Tim was lean, cat-like 18-year-old who looked like a model, a JD that you see in magazines, in movies and magazines. He had the right curly black hair, smoldering dark eyes, and a long scar from his temple to his chin, where a tramp had belted him with a broken pop bottle. He had a tough, hard look to him, and his nose had been broken twice. Like Dally's, his smile was grim and bitter. He was one of those who enjoy being in the hood. The rest of his bunch were the same way, the boys from Brumley too, young hoods who grew up to be old hoods. I never thought about it before, but they just get worse as they get older, not better. I looked at Derry. He wasn't going to be a hood when he got old. He was going to go somewhere. Living the way that we did would only make him more determined to get somewhere. That's why he's better than the rest of us, I thought. He's going somewhere, and I was going to be like him. I wasn't going to live in this lousy neighborhood all my life. Tim had a tense, hungry look of an alley cat. That's what he always reminded me of, an alley cat. And he was constantly restless. His boys ranged from 15 to 19, hard-looking characters who were used to strict discipline that Tim gave out. That was the only difference between his gang and ours. They had a leader and they were organized. We were just buddies who stuck together. Each man was his own leader. Maybe that was why we could whip them. Tim, the leader of the Brumley outfit, moved forward and shook hands with each of us, proving that our gangs were in the same fight, although most of the guys in the 2 outfits weren't exactly what we would like to call friends. When Tim got to me, he studied me, maybe remembering how his kid brother and I had played chicken. You and the quiet blackhead kids were the one that killed the Soch? Yeah, I said, pretending to be proud of it. Then I thought of Cherry and Randy, and I got a sick feeling in my stomach. Good going, kid. Curly always said that you were a good kid. Curly's in the reformatory for the next 6 months. Tim grinned ruefully, probably thinking of his roughneck, hard-headed brother. He got caught breaking into a liquor store. He went on and on, calling Curly every unprintable name under the sun, in Tim's way of thinking, in terms of affection. I surveyed the scene with pride. I was the youngest one there. Even Curly, if he had been there, had turned 15, so he was older than me. I could tell that Derry realized this too, and although he was proud, I knew that he was worried. Shoot, I thought, I'll fight so good that he won't ever worry about me again. I'll show him that someone besides Soda Pop can use his head. All right, let's just check in with our questions real quick just to be sure. So yesterday you answered 2 questions. You talked about like why they were doing the chants. Some of you skipped that one for number 2. So basically it was to get them like hyped up and excited, and it also revealed how the community and the world sees greasers. Okay, so if you didn't answer 2, that's why they were doing chants. And then we also said how does the author show the importance of fitting into a group. This is showing us everyone wants to be in the group because they all like fighting for different reasons, right? So that's how we saw being in a group. Also, they physically got ready for the fight to like look a certain way like greasers, and that shows like wanting to fit into a group. If you all do your hair the same way and you wear similar clothes and you dress like each other, you're fitting into a group. It's kind of like a uniform. Okay, so 1 and 2 looked pretty good actually in your journals. So thank you for that. I know I was probably the only class you had work for yesterday. So our 2 questions today are how does the rumble impact the greasers and the socias, and what is motivating Dally? So I haven't seen this yet. I guess 3 we could start saying it impacts the greasers. So far the fight has made them work with people who are not their friends, like the Brumley gang and Tim Shepard's gang. So it's impacting the greasers because they are getting help from people they normally fight with, but we don't really know how it's impacting the socias yet. I'm gonna keep reading. I am so tired. Did anyone else like not sleep at all last night? Just me? All right, we are on page 19, so we got about 3 pages left. One of the Brumley guys waved me over. We mostly stuck with our own outfits, so I was a little leery of going over to him, but I shrugged. He asked to borrow a weed and then lit up. That big guy with y'all, you know him pretty well? I ought to, he's my big brother, I said I couldn't honestly say yes. I knew Daria as well as he knew me, and it wasn't saying a whole lot. No kidding. I got a feeling like he's gonna be asked to start the fireworks around here. He's a pretty good bopper. He meant a rumbler. Those Brumley boys have weird vocabularies. I doubt if half of them can read a newspaper or spell their names when it comes to their speech. I mean, you take a guy who calls a rumble bop action, and you can tell he isn't real educated. Yep, I said, but why him? He shrugged. Why anybody else? I looked the outfits over. Most greasers didn't have real tough builds or anything. They're mostly lean, kind of panther looking in a slouchy way. This is partly because they don't eat much and partly because they're slouchy. So they don't have good posture, guys. They're really skinny. And yeah, they don't look like they can fight. But Derry can fight because he's a giant guy. And you'll see that if you watch the movie. Derry looked like he could whip anyone around here. I think most of the boys were nervous because of the no weapons rule. I didn't know about the Brumley boys, but I knew Shepard's gang were used to fighting with anything that they could get their hands on. Bike chains, blades, pop bottles, pieces of pipe, pool sticks, sometimes even heaters. I mean guns. I have a kind of lousy vocabulary too, even if I am educated. Our gang never went in for weapons. We're just not that rough. The only weapon we ever used were knives, and shoot, we carried them mostly just for looks. My cat's scratching the window. Sorry. Like 2-Bit with his black handle switch. None of us ever really hurt anybody or wanted to, just Johnny, and he hadn't wanted to. Hey, Curtis, Tim yelled, and I jumped back. Which one? I heard Soda yell back. The big one. Come over here. One guy from Brumley looked at me. What did I tell you? I watched Derry going towards Tim, the leader of the Brumley boys. He shouldn't be here, I thought suddenly. I shouldn't be here, and Steve shouldn't be here, and Soda shouldn't be here, and 2-Bit shouldn't be here. We're greasers, but we're not hoods. We don't belong with this bunch of future convicts. We could end up like them, I thought. We could. And the thought didn't help my headache. I went right back to stand with Soda and Steve and 2-Bit because the socials were arriving right on time. They came in 4 carloads, and they filed out silently. I counted 22 of them. 4 cars, 22. Does that make sense? I lost it already. So I figured the odds were as even as they could get. Derry always liked to take on 2 at a time anyway. They looked like they were all cut from the same piece of cloth, clean-shaven, with semi-beetle haircuts, wearing striped or checkered shirts, with light red or tan-colored jackets, or Madra ski jackets. They could easily have been going to the movies as to a rumble. So just like the Greasers guys, the Socias also get dressed in a similar way. They have similar hair, and they look a certain way to go to the rumble. But they look like nice, and the boys are confused. Like, why would you look nice to go fight someone? We look hoodie and they look decent. It could just be the other way around. Half the hoods I know are pretty decent guys underneath all that grease. And from what I've heard, a lot of Socias are just cold-blooded mean. People usually just go by looks. They lined up silently facing us, and we lined up facing them. I looked for Randy, but I didn't see him. I hoped he wasn't there. The guy with the Madra shirt stepped in. Let's get the rules straight. Nothing but fists, and the first to run lose, right? Tim flipped his beer can. You savvy, real good. There was a silence. Who was going to start it? Derry solved the problem. He stepped forward, under the circle, in a light made by the street lamp. For a minute, everything looked unreal, like a sign out of a JD movie or something, and then Derry said, I'll take on anyone. He stood there. Am I on the right page? Yep, last page. Tall, broad-shouldered, muscles taut under his t-shirt and his eyes glittering like ice. For a second, it looked as if there wasn't anyone brave enough to take him on. There was a stir in the air of a faceless mob of Socias, and a husky blonde guy stepped forward, and he looked at Derry and quietly said, Hello, Daryl. Something flickered behind Derry's eyes, and then they were ice again. Hello, Paul. So they know each other. I heard Soda give a kind of squeak, and I realized that the blonde was Paul Holden. He'd been the best halfback on Derry's football team in high school, and he and Derry used to buddy it around all the time. He must be a junior in college by now, I thought. He was looking at Derry with an expression I couldn't quite place, but I disliked. Contempt? Pity? Hate? All 3? Why? Because Derry was standing there representing all of us, and maybe Paul felt only contempt and pity and hate for greasers? Alright, so Derry and Paul are going to start the fight. Derry is a greaser. Paul is a Soc. They used to be friends. Drama, right? And Derry, so Pony notices that Paul, the Soc, is looking at Derry. He's kind of like looking down at him. He's judging him, and Pony doesn't really like that, right? They used to be friends, but Paul got out of the town. He's in college now. He's just looking down on his brother. Derry hadn't moved a muscle or changed expression, but you could see he hated Paul now. It wasn't only jealousy, but Derry had a right to be jealous. He was ashamed to be on our side, ashamed to be seen with the Brumley Boys, Shepherd's gang, maybe even us. Nobody realized it but me and Soda, and it didn't matter to anyone but me and Soda. That's stupid, I thought swiftly. We come here to fight, and we're both supposed to be smarter than that. What difference does a side make? And then Paul said, I'll take you. And something like a smile crossed Derry's face. I knew that Derry thought he could take Paul any time, but that was 2 or 3 years ago. What if Paul was better now? I swallowed. Neither one of my brothers had been beaten in a fight. But I wasn't exactly itching for someone to break the record. They moved in a circle under the light counterclockwise, eyeing each other, sizing each other up, maybe remembering old faults or wondering if they were still there. The rest of us waited with mounting tension. I was reminded of Jack London's books, you know, the one where the wolf pack waits in silence for 2 members to go down in a fight, but it was different here. The moment either one swung a punch, the rumble would be on. Alright, so that's to 121. So let's just go over the 2 answers. I guess originally I wanted you guys to read longer because it doesn't really seem like we're covering it, but let's just go over it. So the rumble is impacting the greasers, making them collaborate with other gangs. The Socias, I don't really see them impacted in this scene. We do see them come out of the cars dressed the same way and have similar hairstyles, so you could write that. The rumble is causing them to conform with each other, to look the same, but I feel like they look the same all the time. Dally wasn't mentioned, so we can just skip number 4. So thanks for listening to the reading. You really didn't have anything to do today work-wise. Hit turn in on your notes so I know that you watched this video, and leave comments like usual. It makes my day to hear from you guys. And yeah, love ya. I can't believe you're in your last week. 8th graders. You 8th graders. Alright, I'll stop being embarrassing now. 15 minutes, I did it.